Hey, you guys, sorry about that. I was stuck on mute. All right. Thank you guys for joining me today for this live. My name is Samantha. I am a life coach, a spiritual advisor, and a Trinity Reiki practitioner. So, why am I here doing this live? I'm not here to talk at you or just give my opinion on things. I've created this space for you to be able to come in and just release. So I'm really here to listen to what you have to say and give you an opportunity to release some burdens, some emotional things that you may be dealing with in your day. Maybe you're frustrated at something, maybe you're angry, and maybe you're sad. This space is really just an opportunity for you to begin to release if you want to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link for you to call in and be able to just release if you want to release. And if you're not comfortable with being on camera, you can always leave your camera off. If you're not comfortable calling in, then you can just leave it in the chat. Or if you're watching this after it's been recorded, you can put it in the comments. But this is a space that I'm creating for you to just have an opportunity to release what you need to release. Because the truth is, it's very necessary. A lot of people talk about all the ways that you can get to the best life for yourself or move forward in your life for yourself. But the true beginning to do so is to begin to make room within your life for that. And the best way to make room is to release the burdensome things that you're holding on to, the frustration, the anger, and really, you just need to be heard to do that. Sometimes it's just as simple as being heard. So this space is about giving you room to be heard, and that's it. And maybe if you need advising on something, I can do my best to give you advising as well. But I'm creating this space for you to listen to you and just let you have your moment because your emotions, they deserve to have their moment. And that's what this is about. Giving you a moment to have that version of yourself exist so you can release it and make room for all the better understandings that you want. Alrighty then, actually, before I drop the link, just a couple of other things. If you're wanting to call in about anything to do with divine counterparts or twin flames, I will not be answering any advising questions on twin flame connections because it's too individual. Spirit has made it very clear to me that twin flame divine counterpart connections is not something that's meant to be talked about in a group setting or understanding because it's unique to each person. So if you are wanting any assistance on that, then feel free to hit me up on my website. You can book an appointment or an instant call. And also, I'm not this lives or these live sessions are not about me doing tarot readings either. So that's something that you can hit me offline for as well. But yes, that is pretty much it. I do have kind of a gift for you guys at the end of this live. Whether you're on the live or not, it'll be available to you afterwards. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link so that we can begin, though. And while I'm waiting, because I know this is the first live, I will be reading a book. And just, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable calling in, feel free to leave your comments or whatever you need to release in the chat box. Hi, Kiara. I see your hand waving there. All right, I have dropped the link. And as I said, I am going to read and I'll be paying attention, but I'll be able to hear if you call in as well. The book I'm reading is called Manuscript Found in Accra. It's a very good book. It's by Paulo Coelho. He is one of my favorite authors. He's really good. It's essentially about. I might just do that. I might. It's a lot of books. Have to go through a lot of books to find the right ones for this. But yeah, sure. I wouldn't mind doing that. In fact, what I may do after this live is post it in the comment section. Or, yeah, post it in the comment section or the description for you guys. But yeah, it's a really good book. It's essentially about the way, the wonder of knowing God as you choose to. It's very good. And the moment that was lost from the world. Of course, no problem. That's okay. I mean, again, it's fine to discuss it in the chat if you want to. The one book, the one book that I think everybody should read, I don't have a particular book that I feel everybody should read. I feel that because for me, what I do is I read all types of books and I take what resonates and I leave what doesn't. You know, I do that with pretty much every book. So there's not a specific book I would suggest somebody to read, but I think that Paulo Coelho is a good author, and he has quite a few books that I like. My favorite book of his is The Alchemist. This is probably my second favorite. So, yeah. You said you're having a career change and you don't know which direction you should go. Is there a book for that? I'm sure there are a lot of books for that. However, the first thing that I do is always focus on listening to, in a situation like that, I would focus on listening to myself, and what it wants. And maybe sometimes yourself won't always give you the answers right away. And that could be because it needs to help you release to have the space to receive whatever the answer is for that. Yeah. Sometimes the truth is that a lot of times we think that the answer that we need is physical, or the thing that we need to move forward is physical. And that's not wrong, but it may not be the first understanding. Sometimes there is a message or a lesson or understanding that's meant to come to you before the physical understanding. Hi, Lily. So I hope that answered your question, YouTube girl, by the way. Hi, Lily. So the things that I offer on my website, I offer tarot readings, I offer um, life coaching, or just spiritual advising without the use of tarot. So if you just have questions or things that you're needing assistance with, or you just are needing someone to listen or hear you, I offer that as well. Those are the main things that I offer. I do offer energy healing as well, but I don't offer it as a separate service because it is something that you get whenever you tap in or connect with me. Even if you're a part of this live, you get that energy from me. I hope that answers your question. Yes, but I do, like I said, I don't offer it as a separate service, Lily, because it's just my energy is attuned to a certain level of Reiki energy healing, and that anybody that is around me or connecting with me, they will get that assistance regardless. So that's something that you get if you get a reading with me or any type of advising. Well, thank you, Lily. I appreciate that. Mm. I'm happy if my energy has been of any assistance to you. And I love your name, by the way. I have been a very big Harry Potter fan, me and a friend of mine. Actually, I should probably tell you, when I saw your name, Lily, on liking one of my, or commenting on one of my posts, I had to tell my friend about it. I was like, oh my God, Lily Potter commented. Oh my God, we're such nerds. But yeah. Okay. YouTube girl, you said to ask myself what it wants. And I also see, okay, if you would like to book, what's your cat's name? If you would like to book a life coaching session, YouTube girl, you can just go to my website. It is linked in the description here, or you can just go to the bio and the bio of my YouTube page, and it's there as well. And also, you said to ask yourself what it wants and what if it's your ego. Well, there's when it comes to that, there's always a battle between your ego understandings, your ego anxieties, and what your soul wants for itself. And even in a sense of, you said, like, if you're afraid that it's your ego understanding, a lot of times I would say that for your ego anxieties and things of that nature, you'll be able to tell whether or not it's your ego wanting you to move towards something or not, because it usually sits in a place of fear or comfortability. Or a lot of times the things that you're meant to move towards or would be a better understanding for you, they are usually out of your comfort zone sometimes, and I want to say that's not always the case, but it's often the case, you know? Just like you said, you just moved away from this job environment that you've been in for 12 years. I'm sure that was hard. I'm sure your ego energy was saying, don't do this. Please stay. This is what you know. And I'm sure there are other understandings that maybe could be wanting to come to you, and you feel some anxiety about taking that path. Something that I don't really say it anymore because Spirit has tested me tremendously on this. But in the past, I used to say everything I fear I do. And that's really how I've lived my life in some sense. And the things that I fear, I do. Even in a sense of being on live stream, I've never been the type of person to be someone who would be on live stream. But this is what I feel spiritually pulled to do. I feel that my soul is telling me to do. And I wouldn't let my anxiety or fear ever stop me, because if I feel the fear understanding, it's something that is probably getting in the way of the best understanding for myself. A lot of times they say the road towards everything you want is only blocked by fear, it's only blocked by anxiety, you know? So that's the understanding there. If you're afraid that it's your ego, ask yourself the question of, is this something that says I'm comfortable, or is this something that's asking me to do something that's out of my comfort zone, or is this something that's asking me to stay in an energy that is comfortable to me but doesn't necessarily feel like where I want to move or what I want to do. you know we always know the answers within ourselves a lot of times. I mean, it may be very, very quiet for some time depending on what you've put on top of it. But, the more that you release, like what this environment was created for, the more that you release, the louder the voice will become. And releasing can be hard. It's not always a fun process, but it's necessary, you know? And yeah, like a lot of people can be afraid of the understanding of releasing what they need to release, the anxiety, the fears. But it is what releasing that stuff is what will allow room for you to be able to have everything that you want, for you to be able to be filled up with everything else. How can you be filled up with all the abundant positive things if you don't release all the anxiety, all the fear? You're already full of something. So you need to release that understanding if it's not what you want, and replace it. I hope that helps. Thank you, Lily. It's it's something, all right. It's very much something. Like I said, I don't really say it anymore. Spirit has tested me on that. So, I mean, I still do it, but I don't pull the tiger's tail. I do not say that anymore. I just do it now. But yeah. Do you guys have any favorite books that you like? Oh, very much so, Lily. Do I believe that dreams can offer insight and to, yes, and yeah, into your issues? Very much so. I've, and see, YouTube Girl says she's been having some crazy dreams lately. So yes, I've a lot of my growth and spiritual ascension process has happened, or the understanding of how to move and where to go and what to do. Like all of that has come. A lot of it has come through dreams, and it's been, in many ways accurate. I think that a lot of times we tend to separate those understandings, from our daily life, but really just if you allow it to, not all the time, sometimes you can just be having a silly dream, and that's okay too. But I do think that the more that you begin to allow that to be a place, it can happen without you standing in awareness of it. But the more you accept and become open to the understanding of allowing your dream space, your dreamscape to be that for you, it will do so. We have more control over these things than we know. You're fine. You're fine. But yeah, we have more control in relation to those things that we know. I'll give you an example. For instance, this is not really related to dreams, but just the amount of control you can have. I used to move around a lot in my sleep. And one time I had a friend that, like I went to visit her, and, I stayed, or I shared her bed and everything. And she said, when I was asleep, I was moving so much that I hit her in the face. And I was like, oh my God. So the next time, do I keep a dream journal? I don't at this time. Have I in the past? I've written down things in relation to dreams, but honestly, I have a very, very good memory. It is really, really good. Like I'm a receipt keeper when it comes to stuff like that. So, especially all the dreams I've had on my spiritual journey, I, I, I remember all of them, like in great detail. So, yeah, I don't keep a dream journal at this time, but I don't think it's a bad idea. I know people that do. And in the past, when I used to write in a more journal understanding, I would sometimes write dreams. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, well, I'm sure if they're meant to, they will. I'm sure they will if they're meant to. I just am excited to have this space open for you guys to be able to release. And even in a sense, as I said, I am a energy Reiki practitioner. And because that's the case, just being here is an understanding of helping you to release. And that is good enough for me at the end of the day. I'm just doing what I'm spiritually called to do, and I trust spirit that this understanding is necessary, regardless of you coming on live or not. Yeah, I mean, I'm I don't mind people just leaving things in the chat. That is, like I said, that is an option. It's just that, if there are more people that come along, this chat can move fast, and that is my main worry about it. Yeah, but what I was saying about my friend was, yeah, that I I had never thought to do this pertaining to like a being a wild sleeper, but I literally just said to myself, don't move in your sleep. And it changed the way I slept. I never even thought to do it, but once I did that, you know, I stopped moving in my sleep so much. And I don't know if that'll work for everybody, but it worked for me, according to everybody. Everybody that's ever had to share a bed with me, they're like, okay. So like, sometimes it can just be about talking to yourself. That was my point. Just, and we may sometimes forget to do that, or if we do, we don't always say the nicest things to ourselves. But, having that conversation with yourself, and that goes back to what you were saying, YouTube girl, about, trying to figure out what yourself wants for you and things of that nature. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking notes. I will tell you though, Lily, one thing that I've discovered, I've always had a really good memory, but I did start to notice that, as I moved through my life, that my memory wasn't as great. And then when I began to move on my spiritual ascension journey, what happened is that I started to release things. I started to heal things. I started to let go of things. And the more I did that, my memory became even better. It became what it used to be in some sense. So I don't know if that could be the case for you, but it's something to think about as well. I think it's, just in case, because it can. And even what I've seen with the reading that I've done in relation to patients with dementia and things of that nature, just bad memories overall, the understanding that they often go back to is the fact that these individuals, they go back to what they know, the older understandings that they still have. And I think that can be related to the fact that maybe there's emotional stuff that may need to be released or balanced out. And a lot of people think that when you say release, it means just let go of bad things, but we're not meant to hold on to anything, good or bad, and when you go into your releasing journey, your healing journey, your balancing journey, what can happen is you start to release the quote unquote bad things, and then there'll be this softer, kinder memory there that's meant to be a moment of peace to help you to continue to get through that journey of balancing. Yeah. You said you think everybody wants to, you're struggling to, with having your head in the clouds and what you want, but that's sometimes immature thinking. I'm not doing a great job explaining it. So you're saying you're thinking about the end result, understanding of what you want, and the understanding, the understanding of how to get there. Is kind of like not something that you're able to focus on at this time. You mean? Mm-hmm. So I understand what you're saying, and to some extent, what I say is too many cooks spoil the pot. Like I don't necessarily believe in, expressing my dreams or my understandings or what I'm trying to figure out for myself to everybody, especially when it's so fragile. That fragile understanding, especially because, everybody, not saying that they're doing this in a bad way or a bad understanding, it's just yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying pertaining to that. I don't know about everybody wanting to move to Italy because I'm fine being in America, but I get what you're saying pertaining to all of that. But part of it, again, to me, would be that there are a lot of plans and ideas and understandings that I have that I'm wanting to make moves on or take action on. But, they're still in a fragile state. To some extent, you can say they're still in a dream state. And, when you share that understanding with too many people or with so many people before it's time, but before it's ready, it can result in a lot of anxiety. It can result in them trying to push their opinions and their understandings and whatever energy they're dealing with onto you in some sense. And I'm not saying that there is not a sense of needing to have, going through the process of creating a stable, structured path or understanding for what you want to move towards. But at the same time, while you're figuring that out, it's okay not to tell everybody that understanding. One thing that Spirit has said to me over and over again on my journey, is that you don't need to prove, you don't need to defend, you just need to be. That's it. Just be. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. You don't need to. I mean, if you have people that you love in your life, they're going to try to be in your business sometimes. Well, some people. My family's not really like that, but I know that a lot of people, that's the type of like dynamic that they tend to have, family members or friends that are really, really trying to be in their business about a lot of things. And this is where you learn to stand and set good boundaries in that, or let them know like, hey, I need this space for myself. It can be hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's a change. And as you're moving toward what you want, it's going to require a lot of change. It's going to require you to step into a different you. And it could be that that's the case for you in that sense. But yeah, I do think that it could also be some understanding of you're still working to release your anxieties or your worries about, what other people might say or think, their opinions and stuff like that. But yeah, it does. It doesn't. I get what you're saying about the responsibilities. It's about finding the best balance of that for you. It's about finding a way to build a cornerstone understanding for yourself, and move toward what you want. But my overall, again, for the things that I would like to do or plan to create or plan to build, while I'm still in that planning stage, I really just keep them to myself, and I protect them. That's the best thing. As much as I can, I protect them. You know, you're not required, you're not obligated for the most part. And as much as you love your family and your friends and things like that, you're not really obligated to explain everything to them. Yeah, I, I get that energy, the anxiety and the doubt, the self limiting beliefs. Yeah, and the thing about it is, the way to release it is to stand in it. This could be the time of you needing to stand in those anxieties and fears so they can be released. That's important. It's important for every emotion to have its moment. So, all of those things, all of those doubt, they have to have a moment now so they don't have a moment later when you're on the up and you're moving. You don't have that anxiety so heavily. You don't have that doubt. It could be the understanding of your spiritual team or spirit helping to assist you in removing all of that so it won't be there in the future understanding. And I know a lot of times we just like to get up and go. We just like to take action and not worry about all of that. How do you stand in it? You just allow it. It's not a sense of you having to do something special to stand in it. You accept, you acknowledge it. That's it. You allow it, you accept, you acknowledge it, and that's enough. I acknowledge that I'm afraid. I see, and this, in some sense, you are speaking to your ego entity, because that is what's truly a lot of times afraid. It's afraid of not being in control. It's afraid that it doesn't know this new path. It's afraid that, whatever your soul is pulling you toward, it doesn't know all the answers to it. And that's scary, you know? But the soul is like that. It doesn't give us all the answers because it doesn't want you to carry the burden of all of that. It's so heavy. It's very heavy to have to know and know and know and know right in that moment. You only need an understanding in the moment. You don't need all the understandings for every moment. If you're not in that moment, you don't really need the understanding right then and there. But your soul knows that better than your ego entity. All you can do, because your ego is important. A lot of times people, they say, oh, you're in your ego, yada yada, and they make it seem like it's not important. It may be imbalanced, but that doesn't mean it's not important. It's just as important as your soul. And that understanding is acknowledging it, giving it its space to be anxious, speaking to it in the understanding of I see you, I feel you, I understand. I'm acknowledging it and letting it, have its moment to be there and feel whatever it needs to feel. If it's angry, frustrated, scared, if it's, to push you to cry, whatever the case it may be. And then after it has its moment, it'll have less control over how your soul wants you to move too. It'll make more space for the understanding within yourself. It really is all about releasing. That's the answer, or at least what I've seen and on my journey, and in a lot of the cases where I've given assistance, it's helped. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Lily. I was raised not to be an emotional person, so I understand. I was raised to be honestly to be a thug. I was raised to be an emotional thug, and I've been in my past understanding called a ice queen. I've been called some names pertaining to the fact that I nobody really felt like they could get true emotion out of me, you know. To some extent, but like really, especially in relationships. So it can be hard. You're right. I had to really learn, relearn. Uh, yeah, it was relearn because I can remember a time being a child, where I had emotions, and then that being taken away from me. Hmm. Something interesting is I find a lot of times that when we go through things like you said you're working on that after a major illness. I find that sometimes in life spirit brings things like that towards us to give us a chance to really move differently or to give it space because when we don't feel well or when we have um, you know when we just have like a situation where we have kind of like to be to ourselves or we can't get around as good as we usually do or certain things like that, all we have is time to sit with ourselves, and sometimes that's something we often try to avoid. We have time to sit with ourselves and think, and we can't run away from ourselves as much. And that space can help us reform and reshape. And like you said, you're working on stepping into more open emotional understanding or stepping into more acceptance of your emotions, after that. So that makes sense to me in a way because I've gone through that myself. So yeah, but it's not easy. It's not easy. But I think it's better. I feel a lot better acknowledging. Now, don't get me wrong. I still tell you, I'm not somebody that is like a big crier or anything like that. But I went through a phase of my spiritual growth where I could not stop crying. Like it was all the things, everything that needed to be acknowledged. Those things that never had their moment, they're still waiting. They're still waiting for their moment. And this is your chance possibly to give them that, you know? Once you do so, it becomes easier. Not at first, it takes time. But yes, it is hard. It's hard. It can be. Yeah, I'm telling you, it really is. Like I try I think of it because I've seen it so much with in my own life, but also with others. Often those things are your soul. I see it as your soul throwing a tantrum. You know, you won't pay attention to me. I have to get you to pay attention to me. And I don't think it's just with illnesses and things like that. I seen it with, like car accidents and stuff like that. What can I get you to do to pay attention to me? I need you to pay attention. I need you to live your life in awareness. I need you to be open and aware and awake for us. How can I do that? And those are the things. It sucks. It really does, but those are the things that often get people to pay attention. Like I've had it happen to me on more than one occasion. Those are the types of things that get people to pay attention. And that's why I'm doing my best to live in more awareness and to walk in that understanding. Yeah. But yeah, the wake up call understanding, I really do get it. I call it your soul throwing a tantrum. What do I think is happening collectively? I'm not sure what you mean by that, YouTube girl. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening. Hi, Danielle. Thank you for joining us. With everything going on in the world, I think that change is happening, you know? Only thing constant is change. That's what I think about what's going on in the world. Yeah, sometimes dreams can be, literal like that in some sense. Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, your soul, it will try to speak to you. It's about learning to listen. So that really is it, walking in awareness. And it's not like again, it's not always easy, especially when we live in a world that kind of like brushes that stuff to the side to some extent. But yeah, and that's okay. Some of it can just be about awareness, don't you think? The first step to moving toward the right path for yourself, in my opinion, is to be aware, is to say to yourself, and because that's literally how I began my journey of spiritual ascension for myself. I just, basically was telling spirit, I am open to you. I am open to you, your understandings for me. And it didn't immediately give me a answer to all of that. It cleared some things from my life first before it gave me the answer of what way it wanted me to go. It didn't give me a answer right away. In its divine timing and the divine timing of things, it gave me the answer. But first, I had to clear some things, and first I had to go through some things, you know, and then I started receiving messages and answers pertaining to what was the right way. So, just the understanding of what is the right way, it's not always going to be right then and there that you receive the answer of how to get there. Are you asking me what's a direct answer I received from via a dream? Was that for me, YouTube girl? Was this question for me? Well, I don't know if it was, but I'll still answer it. I've received so many messages in my dreams. Yes, that's the first step. Recognizing it, having the awareness, that is the first step, you know, and acknowledging it. Even if you acknowledge it out loud sometimes, I'm acknowledging that a change is necessary, you know, because manifestation, okay, I wasn't sure if it was, but yeah, because manifestation begins with our thoughts. Yes, you manifest as soon as you think, but when you speak, it's even more powerful. So if you feel your thinking of that change is not enough, speak it into existence for yourself as well. Yeah, sometimes they can be really direct. So not always, but sometimes. I do dream interpretation as well. Um, that's something that I've studied, symbolism and everything else. But yes, sometimes dreams are direct. It depends. It depends on the person too. Um, I've had people be like that, they felt like their dream was just really, really that blunt as well. But sometimes your guides, they know, well, your guides or your team, your spiritual team, it knows you. It knows what you may need in the moment, you know? And that may be the understanding to just have it be a direct understanding for you. Alright, guys, so I was just planning to spend an hour on here, and it's coming up on that hour. I appreciate, the ones who joined me today. I do plan to do this as many Saturdays as I can. I don't know how many Saturdays at 8 p.m. I have, but I will. I do plan to be here on Saturday at 8 for you guys. It sounds like you're really, really going through a strong awakening, and it could just be that time. That is something that I do think is happening, with the world. A lot of change is happening there, where more people are being coming online to those spiritual understandings for themselves. And that just speaks of the change that could be necessary in this world at this time. It's I do think that it's time for so what I like to say about spirituality, in relation to it, it's science a lot of times that we don't know all the answers to. And so people will say that it's either not real or it's woo woo or whatever the case may be. But really, all magic is the understanding of magic is you not knowing how it is created. Spirituality is the same way. So, yeah, like that's the understanding here. I do think that it could be the understanding of you beginning to step into more of your own spiritual understanding for yourself, Lily. And you're very welcome. But I did say that I have a gift for you guys before I go. Give me 1 second here. I do have a playlist that I created for you guys. And I'm going to drop it in the chat here. It's also available in discussion. I created this playlist for helping you to release and move forward. It's a mixture of songs. I tried to keep them, pretty clean for the most part. There might be a few curse words in there, but like I tried to keep it as clean as possible. I created it in that understanding for you. Thank you, L Knight. But yes, I'm dropping it here in the chat for you guys. And again, as I said, it is also available in the discussion. And that's my gift to you guys. I hope that if you do listen, it's something that helps you in your ascension process and your emotional balancing process. And it's 3 of them I put. If you have iPhone, there's an Apple version of it. I think it's a Spotify version, and also a YouTube version. So whichever one that you're able to use, there you go. And thank you guys for joining me. I will see you hopefully in the next live stream.